Hey everyone, my name is David. I'm a software developer, toy collector, and general horror enthusiast. If you're new here, I make videos on my kind of various software projects and interests. And I just released my first mobile app to the iOS App Store and Google Play Store, and thought it would be a good idea to kind of bring you all through this experience with me. I used Flutter for developing the app, and I even managed to break into the top 20 paid educational apps this week. Since I'm new to using Flutter and Dart, I used AI a lot to help me throughout the project, and I'll show you some of that workflow as well. And this video will really be a way for me to share my project and experience, and to kind of help me to test how much I actually retained from that development with AI. I'll demo the app, I'll show some of the code, and we can take a look at some of the App Store analytics as well. I hope that you find this interesting and stick around. Thanks. All right. So first things first, what was my app that I actually built? It's called RHIA Certify. It's for Health Informatics Certify. It is a certification prep app for health information management professionals. Things like the Registered Health Information Administrator, Registered Health Information Technologist, or Certified Professional in Health Information Management Systems. These are people working in HIM and HIT. This is something that I do in my professional life. I have some of these certifications, and I wanted to build an app to help people prepare for those certifications. Some already exist. They're too expensive, and they don't have the functionality that I really wanted. So I wanted to build something a little bit better. This is the marketing site for it. Kind of links out to the app stores and everything, shows some of the features. This is all built in Svelte. I can go over that some other time if we're interested. But now let's jump into the app itself. I'll see you there. Okay, so this is the landing page of RHIA Certify. This is the Android version. I have it deployed on both Android and iOS. When you first get in here, it's kind of, blank and empty. We have some progress and achievement cards, the number of quizzes you've completed, number of flashcards, what your average quiz score is, streak and study time. Just try to gamify some of this a little bit. You have some recommendations. These recommendations update as you actually use things within the application. There's two pages here. We have our certification prep page. This is where you can go to start taking a practice quiz or building a flashcard set. And then we have the reference section. The reference section kind of powers a lot of the certification prep. So I'm going to show this first, and then we'll dive into some of the certification features. The first thing I'm going to show here is the glossary. So the glossary has over 3,500 terms in it. These are all specifically from informatics and health information management and health information technology fields. We can open it up. We can look through here. We see ICD-10. We can open up ICD-10, and we can see that it's a coding classification system. We can look up what IDF-TF weighting is. And we can also search for terms directly here. So if I wanted to, for example, search, for LOINC, for example, I can pull up LOINC, I can select that, and I can read what that definition is. We have some other reference materials. We have some common industry standards that people can quickly reference if they wanted to see what FHIR is. We have information about FHIR here. If you wanted to understand more about LOINC, you could open up LOINC, see what its use cases and features are. And then we have some common statistical formulas if you wanted to, understand how does gross death rate calculated. See that, or if I wanted to see what the crude birth rate is and how that's calculated, we can that. The other kind of big items within the system are the certification prep. We have 3 different things to help prepare for certification prep: practice quizzes, flashcards, and memory matching. We're going to take a look at flashcards first. So if we select flashcards here, you see I have none of these currently built. I can add a flashcard set. I can either create a random flashcard set or create a custom set. A random flashcard set lets me kind of type in a name here. I'm just going to call this one, random, and select a domain. So these are domains that are applicable to the field. It'll pull in a bunch of random terms from that. I'm going to specifically choose clinical and medical concepts. I can change the number of terms that I want inside that flashcard set, but I'm just going to stick with 10, and I can create. Now you can see here I have my random flashcard set, and if I open that, I can start reviewing blood and blood component usage. If I click on it and review, I get the term. I can decide whether I know this term or not. I'm going to go ahead and say I do know this one, and I'm going to move on to the next. So I can do this. I can work through these terms, review those kind of across. And back on my home page now, you can see here I have one flashcard set created. In my recommendations, I have 7 more in that random set that I can continue to learn, because those are the ones that I don't know yet. Additionally, that's all powered by the glossary. So anything that's available in the glossary can be available as a flashcard. So you can create your own custom set, and then you can look up those terms directly and add them into your flashcard set. So we can say this is custom. We can create that set. Now I have my custom set of terms here. I can review, accept as well. The flashcard also powers a memory matching game. We can select memory matching, and it's just like you would expect. We can have a grid of terms that we can review. We can select one, I get a definition, and then the corresponding term is somewhere in this data set. So right here we have a question express an unconstrained text from which meaning must somehow be extracted or inferred so that a suitable blah, blah, blah. And then we can sit there and, go through, and it'll reset. But I don't find it. I think that would actually, that one? Yep. And so it matches. After you complete and get all the matches correct, you win the game and you can reset. The last thing we have for certification prep, and probably the core of why a lot of people use this or would want to use this application, is the practice quizzes section. So I have no quiz currently. I'm going to go ahead and take a quiz here. You can choose the number of questions in your quiz from 5 questions all the way up to 50 questions. I'm going to go ahead and just take a 5-question quiz. And then you can select from different domains in healthcare the percentage of questions you want from that domain. So if you really want to focus on a specific domain, you can make it 100% of those questions. If you want to kind of make the quiz representative to one of these certifications, you can kind of select different percentages. It will validate and make sure that you have at least 100% matching. We're going to just do a leadership and organizational management 5 questions. So we'll say 100 there, and I can create a quiz. And it takes me immediately into the quiz. And we have a question here. So in setting up a new electronic credentialing system, what is important for verifying the medical licenses of international medical graduates? Got 4 questions. I can confirm the accreditation of their medical school. I can check their letters of recommendation. I can ensure they completed residency in their home country. And I can verify results from the Educational Commission for Foreign Medical Graduates. The first and fourth probably sound the best to me, but I think I'm going to go with this last one here. I'm going to select that. It does highlight green, shows me that that's the correct answer, and then gives me some rationale. So the Educational Commission for Foreign Medical Graduates certification is necessary for international medical graduates to verify their medical education credentials. So we can continue on. An performance improvement initiative, how can a health information manager effectively measure the success of their efforts? We can track the reduction in error rates and increased efficiency. We can conduct a staff survey after each improvement cycle, monitor the incremental cost savings over time by benchmarking performance against industry standards annually. I'm going to go with that one. Oh, I got it wrong. That was my other guess for tracking the reduction in error rates and increased efficiency. And I can see here, and it gives me some rationale. But then I can submit my quiz. I got a 60%. I didn't do so great. I probably need to study my leadership and organizational management more. Looking back, now I can see that I have my average score time tracked. So I can see how that progresses over time. I see what my how many quizzes I've completed. I have 2 flashcard sets. My average quiz score is 60%. I'm on a 1-day streak currently. I've studied for about 5 minutes. Leadership is my best domain. I bet you it's also my worst domain. So I can improve those. And I can actually go back and review the missed questions. So I can select this here and I can go back and re-review those. This will add up as I go. As I answer them correctly, I can have them removed from the quiz. All right, now I'm going to show some of the code and try and walk through some of this as best as I can. I did try and follow the model view system MVVM, model view model design pattern. So that is the design pattern that I tried to adhere to. I think I definitely did not implement this completely correctly, but I did try to separate the UI from the logic layer from the data layer. So you can see over here, I have that kind of separated by directories. I have a directory for my models. I have a directory for my view models and my views. I also have these services and widgets, which I think are like an extension of this Yeah, I think it talks about some of that in this data layer. I don't think the directory structure is quite set up right, but that's how I have that. I am using Provider for state management, and I'm using SQLite for the database. All of the data that I'm starting with, I have kind of as flat files, and then I'm reading those in and storing them in the database for later. Probably not the right way to do that. I could probably remove those, have those set up in the database, and then just not worry about it. But I was figuring out how to ingest files at the same time I realized I started to need a database to keep track of things, and I was trying not to mess up too much. So you can see here, I am checking whether I'm on a mobile platform or not. That had to do with how SQLite was setting up. I kept getting some errors when I was trying to initially get it to run in the emulator on my PC. I also have a MacBook. I was making sure to switch between the two to make sure I could continue configuring. Here we have our providers and change notifiers for things like my flashcard view model, my quiz view model, some checklist view model. I think that's because I'm propagating them from the very top down. I think that there's a better way to do this. I'm still not quite sure I understand this part completely. I do have my main page, which is a stateful widget. It essentially consists of 3 views inside a list. And then it starts out at the home page with the selected index. When you select another one from the bottom navigation, it modifies which page you're on and takes you there. So here's that kind of scaffold that puts all of that together. So I have my bottom navigation. I really love, I don't know if it's the Flutter or the Dart extension. I think it's a Flutter, but it actually shows you the icon over here that's being used, which I absolutely love. I think I need to go back and update some of the colors so they can be more accessible. But that's kind of like the starting page. So the home page here is what we were first looking at. I'm all the way at the bottom of this. So the home page here is what we're first looking at here. This is what loads all of our quiz history data, loads all of our score data, gets all of that from the database. Each of these view models has like a database helper that pulls that data from SQL. We can load all that. We have our app bar up at the top. We have a single child scroll view that contains our average score information, tracking our progress. I am using line chart from FL chart. That's what's making the FL chart's what's making the graph that shows up at the top. So this is providing all of that and just getting all of it into the correct format and the date format, showing all of the information. We get our line chart selected. We add the line chart data. This build progress section and build suggestion section is what creates grouping of the metric cards. So I have another function that actually builds out those metric cards. I can pass through a string and some data that I want to have displayed. I have some functions for formatting some of that, for getting some of my strongest data. This is where I think some of this could go back into the view model here, because I'm starting to do some logic in this. But this started getting overwhelming, and I was trying to figure out how to best handle this. So some of it is built in here as well. For my suggestion card, this is also what's pulling in and showing out, okay, you have 3 terms that you don't understand. This is your worst domain, or here are the questions that you missed. So that's all put there. And then it is using and builds these suggestion cards in a row here. This all identifies the recommendation type. Once we navigate to the reference page, this is what, it's a scaffold with an app bar, and then we have some individual resource cards. Those are each of the buttons that we click on to go further down. So for example, here, this is for the glossary, and then we have one for our industry standards, and each of those pieces of information that we would need. It's just a gesture detector and a child container that has the icon and the text and some of that information. So once we select that, we can go down into the glossary page, and the glossary page is just loading data from a view model and model. So the glossary term is literally just a term, a definition, and a domain. If we look at the kind of glossary terms. It's just a CSV of terms, definitions, and then I've assigned them all to one of these like 5 different domains. And when we load those in this glossary parser, we're essentially just parsing that CSV. For the certification cards, I'm checking whether the selected answer matches the correct answer, and I'm showing the results. I'm doing some conditional highlighting, whether they're correct or incorrect. It'll be green versus red, and I create that container. Once it's answered, we allow the logic to actually show the correct answer and show the associated rationale. Certification questions, once again, is just from a CSV that has all of that available. It's got essentially the domain or the test associated with the question, the answers, and then an index for the answer. That's all loaded into a quiz question model, and then the quiz questions model are loaded into a quiz model. So a quiz is comprised of quiz questions. Typed languages are something I'm not very strong at, so I'm still working on getting into that part. I'm creating a UUID for both the quiz question and for the quiz as well, so I have unique terms there. For the formula, we have our formula model here, and our formula view model, I'm using, actually I think it's in the formula pages in the views, I am using this Flutter Math Dart package. Yeah, this math.text right here. So that's what's formatting it into that like latex format. So I have that as a JSON here. And if you look at it, I just have that kind of as a string for that latex string. So it'll be able to display it in that latex format. Standards is also just a JSON object. Okay, so like I said, I did use AI pretty extensively to help me. And probably can tell why I'm still trying to figure out some of my own code that I wrote. I used Claude for a lot of this, almost the majority that I used Claude. And I used a Claude project. I have kind of said here, I'm building a Flutter application that helps health informatics, information management, information technology professionals. The application is meant to be a single guidebook for new professionals. And here is my system prompt that kind of spells out how I want this to work. I'm telling it I want it to use that model view model. I'm telling it that I want to make sure there's a separation of concerns, using reactive programming, use these types of tools. I want you to use clean code practices, even if I screw some of those up. I want it to follow some best practices. I want it to document as it goes. I want to try to optimize code. And the big part for me here was, understand that I have a basic understanding of Flutter. I did some code labs before I started this, and that helped, but I still wasn't super confident. So one said, I'm seeking to improve my skills. So provide examples, step-by-step explanations, alternative approaches where applicable, and then focus on practical solutions and complete code snippets that can directly use in my project. So then I would add all of my files into the project, so it had complete access to my code base as I was working through. And I would kind of start through like this. I would give it a feature that I wanted to work on. I want to work on the flashcard feature. Flashcard feature will allow users to build a flashcard set from the glossary data. Flashcards can be randomly created from the full glossary data. I would kind of try and walk it through. It would implement some code. I would kind of look at that and review the code that I was output. I would catch it doing things here. Like in here, it assumes that my glossary is going to be a list instead of the single string. So I'm like, hey, we need to change that. It's going to be a single string. I'll make another update. I'll get an error. I'll talk about it with the error for it. It'll try and walk me through that. I fix it. I think I'd like the buttons to create a new flashcard to set to be a floating button inside of the body of the app instead of on the app bar. So I can work through those items, and then I'd go and read code more, figure out what more I wanted to add, and then start focusing on adding additional information. So as of recording this, the app is deployed on iOS and Android Play Store. It's currently number 19 in the education paid apps. I've been doing some marketing and kind of pushing it out into different groups that I'm connected with to see if they can find any use and value with it. I definitely think that's really exciting. This is my first app I've ever published. So there was a lot that I had to learn through both publishing, both on iOS and on Android. Testing was probably, one of the more in-depth things, especially on Android. But I did want to show even some of the current metrics of the app. It is a single charge for the app. It's $4.99 on the App Store right now. You can see I have about a 2.15% conversion right now, made about $123, which is great. I'm thrilled with that. I've made my initial App Store developer program charge back. I mean, to pay $100 a year to publish apps on iOS, you got to pay $25 to publish apps on the Play Store. I'm not looking to make money off of this app. Anything that I do end up making from this, I'm just going to reinvest into the application itself, or build more applications to help people. I really like kind of the educational app space. I think it's really interesting and cool. So I'm going to keep working on that. A lot of where my traffic is coming from, it has been from my posts. There's not a lot of SEO. My App Store optimization probably isn't great. There's probably lots of other things. I'm getting really positive feedback from the users overall that have downloaded it and use it. I've already corrected a couple of bugs that they found in some of the quiz questions. They've asked for things like implementing a dark mode. People have asked for some improvements to flashcards. So there's a lot of things I think I could still build and improve on this application. I don't know, this is something that I just build in my nights and weekends from my main job. So I don't know how much time I really have to invest in this, but I do plan on continuing to try and keep building and trying to explore this more. And hopefully I can create an app that is really useful for people studying for these certifications, especially students, that isn't some outrageous cost, that doesn't require them to sign up for a subscription for when they're just trying to study for an app that or for a certification that they'll probably take once in their life. So I hope you found this interesting. This was a lot of fun for me to make. It was a lot of fun to talk about. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope you stick around. Subscribe if you like seeing some of this. Check out some of my other videos. They're very different than this. Yeah, thank you.